give me a whole tray of peas. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nardo D&D. I do all sorts of homebrew D&D stuff, like converting old D&D stuff into modern 5.24e formats so that you can use it at your gaming table. Today I brought back for you 10 races from 3.5 that I just picked based mostly on vibes and converted them so that they can be used in 5e. But just a quick second before we get to that, look at this pie chart. I love everyone on it, but I like these ones the best. So if you want to be part of that exclusive club, why not hit the subscribe? It's easy, free, and I'll let you know the next time I make one of these videos. A like if you like the video would not go unappreciated as well. Oh, but commenting, that's the best one. I respond to every comment in every video that I've ever made. You can go and check my word on that. I love hearing what you guys have to say. It's my favorite thing on the planet. All right, enough YouTube stuff. Let's talk about race. The first race we're talking about is the Mole from popular D&D setting Dark Sun. Now, this is what the traits used to look like, and as you can see, they have a few notable things here. The main ones I wanted to take from are Hardy, Faster Natural Healing, and Inborn Power. Now, Hardy, that's pretty straightforward. We'll get to that in a second. Faster Natural Healing, we couldn't just eventually just give them regeneration. That's too strong for a player character. Find a ring of regeneration if your DM really wants that. So we kind of had to scale that one back a bit. And Inborn Power, which is a psionic-based ability where they gain psi points just by being a mole, and then they can use those psi points to juice up their big, strong muscles to be able to hit more reliably. Now, as you can see here, this has a level adjustment. This is something 3.5 had. Some races are just better than others in 3.5, so they had the level adjustment to show that, oh, if you're a level 1 fighter and you're a mole, then you're equivalent to a level 2 character, so you would need to get the experience that you would need to get to level 3 in order to level up once and gain another class. This makes it so that there are some very difficult decisions to make when what to cut, because in 5.24, all of the races are relatively balanced and the same, at least for the players. There are some notable exceptions where it's like, yeah, that one seems a bit strong, but you know, we won't dwell on that too much. Anyway, what does the Mole look like now, converted for a 5.24? So here it is. The creature type, humanoid, still, size, medium, 5 to 7 feet tall, as they normally are, speed 30 feet, that has not changed, and hardy, but new. You can finish a long rest in 4 hours. You recover an extra level exhaustion when receiving the benefits of a long rest. So I think that's pretty flavorful. That fits with how it was before. It's basically exactly the same trait. Now, Faster Natural Healing. You can expend a hit die as a bonus action in order to roll that hit die. You heal your proficiency bonus at the end of each of your turns for a number of turns equal to the roll of the hit die. The healing stops if you are knocked unconscious. So you can't whack-a-mole yourself with this. So you can't go down and then rely on this to bring you back up. So there's that as the downside. However, a nice bit of prolonged healing as you use that adrenaline to power the restabilization of your body. It's pretty nice. And this is my favorite one. Inborn Power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to the Brute Force Discipline. As if you see here, the Brute Force Discipline has a few things you can do. You can either deal a little more damage with an attack, you can push someone, and you can jump pretty far. So you're just using your psionic powers to leap forward. And the psi limit of 1 means you can only spend 1 at a time. So you can't blow all 3 and deal an extra 3d6 now. You can only deal 1 extra d6. You also gain access to the Psychic Focus of the Brute Force Discipline, which just gives you advantage on strength checks sometimes. Well, strength athletic checks specifically sometimes. And that's it. That's what I got for the Mole. I have included in the PDF a little blurb for each of these races talking about their physical descriptions, maybe just some where they're from, a bit of lore for each one if you want to read into that. And if you really like one, I recommend you just research it on your own. Just Google it and read about what they are, because there's a lot of cool, goofy stuff in this one. I really like the moles. I really like the Dark Sun books, and let's go to the next one. The Mortif, and you can see here in its previous 3.5 version of its racial traits, it has Dark Vision. Oh boy, that's the good one. It also gains Chill Touch as a spell-like ability. It has Cold and Electricity Resistance 5, and its favorite class is Sorcerer, which is another fun 3.5 mechanic that I really liked. If you chose the favorite class that matched the race that you picked, you gain a little bonus. You get like an extra hit point, maybe an extra skill point. It's just like a nice little thing. So anyway, what does this look like now in 5.24? Here, the Mortif. It is a creature type of undead, which is a little wacky. Get that paladin's divine sense ping on that character. Size medium, 4 to 7 feet tall, just like normal humanoid size proportions, like a normal human-sized guy. Its speed is 30 feet. It has dark vision with a range of 60 feet, so you can interrupt the DM telling them that you have dark vision. That's very important. You gain undead fortitude. You have resistance to cold and lightning damage, so that's just a direct copy of the previous version to like keep it in line. And then you gain Lineage of the Grave, which is kind of like all the ones that gain funny spells at 1st, 3rd, and 5th level based on your heritage and stuff, or lineage, or whatever you want to call it. At 1st level, you gain the Chill Touch cantrip, just like you did before. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to cast Wrathful Smite once per long rest, and Wrathful is the one that does necrotic damage, so it's like kind of thematic with the undeadness, and like you're sucking the juice out of them, you're desiccating life, that kind of thing. At 5th level, you gain the ability to cast Ray of Enfeeblement once per long rest. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for the spells you cast with this trait, which is the wording that they have started using for all the spells so that anyone, no matter what class and dump stat that they have, can use the spells based on their race nicely. And I think it's fine. I think it's cool because use any of these to cast spells, theoretically, and surely the ones that you innately know can be cast with using stuff that you learn later as well, like the methods. So these guys are undead. They have lineage of undead. Maybe a bungled resurrection in the past has caused an ancestor to have like this lingering undeath. So it's like Tiefling, but it's undead. Or it's like ASMR, but it's undead. So yeah, there you go. Have your spooky sorcerer be an undead man. That's kind of neat. You get a couple extra spells, some cold and lightning damage resistance. Those are good resistances. Lightning and cold, they're like big. Get a lightning bolted, don't feel it too bad. That's all right. I like that one. That's okay. I like creature type undead. That could bring up a lot of funny difficulties in the future for funny events. All right, let's move on. Next one. The Insectare. And here are their 3.5 version of their stats. Notice that they gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. That's pretty real and probably will be a direct translation. They gain natural weapons as an antenna rake, so they can like rake you with their antennas. These guys are weird insect elves, essentially. They have elven blood. For all effects related to race, an Insectare is considered an elf, so those elf bane weapons will deal plenty of damage to them, so that's pretty nice. And they have this whole thing about disguising themselves and trying to sneak into civilizations and stuff where they're trying to like hide their insect-like nature and just pass themselves off as elves. So I worked that in as well. So let's go look at them in this 5.24e version. Here it is, the Insectare, creature type humanoid, size medium, 4 to 7 feet tall. That's just standard feet tallness. Speed 30 feet, dark vision out to a range of 60 feet to interrupt the Dungeon Master. Fey ancestry, you have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charmed condition. That's just because of their elven blood, you know? Weaponized antenna, you gain the ability to, as a bonus action, strike with your antenna. Your antenna are a simple weapon, 1d4 slashing damage with the finesse and light properties and the Vex weapon mastery. If you gain a weapon mastery, you can choose your antenna and just wang them real good. I thought that was a fun little treat to bring together the 5.24e-ness and the old 3.5 funny abilities together. So that was a nice mix of things there. And then you get Deceptive Disguiser, because I love alliteration. And you just gain proficiency with disguise kits. That's just, these guys love disguising themselves. It's just fun. They just have a grand old time. These funny green bug elf men people. Yeah. Next one. The Cactacae. Now these guys are big guys. Here you can see their 3.5 stat sheet racial traits, and oh boy, do they have a lot of benefits because they're a plant type. And I don't think I converted almost any of them because being immune to critical hits feels like a bit much, honestly, and not requiring sleep and being immune to mind-altering effects kind of feels like a bit much for a first-level character, you know? So we kept the plant type, that's real. They get Powerful Build, which is just a direct translation to another trait that some races get in 5.24. They gain Spines, which is very real as a giant cactus person. They get Weapon Familiarity, which they can treat certain weapons as being martial instead of exotic to them, so they can like use them. If they're just like a fighter, they just have martial weapon training and stuff like that. However, 5.24 kind of like dealt away with all of the weapon familiarity traits that all the races used to get, which I don't know if I like, because like me as a human, when I pick up a sharpened stick, I just instinctually, with no training, instinctually know that the pointy end goes towards the enemy. Just my ancestral blood memory tells me how to hold the stick in order to hurt someone. So I don't know if I can believe that. Like, I can believe you giving them or not giving them a couple of weapon familiarities. I didn't, just to like be more general. So let's go look at the Cactacae in 5.24e. Creature type, plant, size, medium, but 7 to 8 feet tall, very big boy. Speed, 30 feet. He has a powerful build. You have advantage on any ability check you make to end the grappled condition. You also count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity. So you're a big guy. that and carry lots of stuff. You have spines. You can, as a reaction, when you are struck by a melee attack, inflict your proficiency bonus as piercing damage to the attacker. Just wang them with your spines. Why are they attacking a cactus? That's on them for doing that. That's a dumb thing to do. You may also apply this damage at the end of each of your turns to a creature you are grappling or are grappled by. So the second that big anaconda constricts you real good, it's going to be like, ooh, ouchie, it's too pointy, ouch. And because you're a big, meaty boy, you gain Cactacae toughness. Your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level. And I think that is a pretty reasonable translation. Watch out to not get hit by a blight attack, because that would hurt like shit, because you are a plant type creature. So remember to remind your DM, like, oh, please don't hit me with a blight attack, and just keep bringing it up so that it happens eventually, because that'd be a cool moment. And be like, oh no, I have been blighted because of my plant-like body. I am taking severe damage. And you can do something like that. That's just funny. All right, next guy. We have the Exiled Modron. Now here in the 3.5 racial traits of the Exiled Modron, you can see that it has a pretty big downside called surprise vulnerability, where it is flat-footed and very bad in the first few rounds of combat, doesn't know what to do because of its like ordered upbringing. It's confused at something being so chaotic that it takes it a minute to, or 12 seconds, in order to reestablish itself and like get back into the fight correctly. So normally there isn't like downsides to picking a race in 5.24e, but this is just, it's too funny and it's too like integral to this guy that you have to include surprise vulnerability, surely. They also have durable shell, which is pretty neat. It gives them resistance to a bunch of different things, but not that much, only a little bit of resistance. It's not like resistance, it's just like you reduce the damage by a little number, like 2. And by like, I mean, it's 2. That is the number that they reduce the damage by, of a few different types, such as acid, cold, and fire. They retain a degree of their alien intelligence, so they gain a benefit on saving throws against mind-altering effects, whatever that may mean. Anyway, let's look at them in the 5.24e version of themselves. Exiled Modron. Creature type construct, because you are. Size medium. You're always 5.5 feet tall as a Modron, because only quadrones are the ones that can become Exiled Modrons, and there's a whole like lore reason for that I think I included in the funny blurb that you can read about, or you can Google it. Again, the information's out there. You can just go. You can read like every information on the internet. It has so much in there. So you're always 5.5 feet tall, and you always weigh exactly 400 pounds because they are made. They're cookie cut. But you know, the Exiled Modron is what makes you special, because like, oh shit, you realize, oh, I don't want to be a cog in the machine. I want to go off on an adventure, and then you do that, and that's neat. And then you go off and become friends with these adventurers, and then you make funny stories, and then you cry when you have to give up your life in order to beat off Mechanus, and then save the entire multiverse or something like that. Anyway, you gain surprise vulnerability. You have disadvantage on attack rolls on the first round of combat. You do not initiate. So if you initiate the combat, then you're fine. You don't get any disadvantage. But like, if just like your friend pulls out a gun and shoots the man, and you're like, oh damn, that was nuts, how did that happen? Then you'd have surprised there. Like, you would have disadvantage on that. It's you specifically. It's not just your side of the fight. You gain durable shell. You reduce all acid, cold, fire damage you take by your proficiency bonus. It's kind of like Heavy Armor Master, but with acid, cold, and fire damage. And I think that's a funny little clever way in order to reduce damage in a manner that isn't just directly resistance. You gain Ordered Mind. You gain advantage on saving throws against mind-altering effects, such as charm or sleep. So anything that would try to charm or put you to sleep, you have advantage on the saving throw for that. So that's handy because your mind is very organized. And you are built for purpose. You gain proficiency in one set of tools of your choice. So that's just a free little thing that you can get. Maybe you're a Thieves' Tools quadrone, or maybe you're a Cobbler quadrone and you're good at making shoes of some kind. You know, those kinds of things. That could be funny. I make my players roll tool checks all the time. I've had them make a cobbler check in order to cook a dessert before, but you probably shouldn't. That makes no sense. All right, next guy. This one was difficult to convert. The Gargoyle. Here, you can see the Gargoyle racial traits, and oh boy, look at those stats and things that it can do. So to start, it has 40-foot base movement speed, which wouldn't be like too bad if that's all it gets. Like a centaur gets that. That's okay. It also has a 60-foot fly speed. That is way too much. That's more than any of the other flying races to start with. It has dark vision out to a range of 60 feet, which is fine. It can keep that like perfectly normal. Racial hit dice are just not going to be a thing. You're just going to ignore that. You just get more hit dice because you have a level adjustment of +5. You have some racial skills, which is again, because of the +5 level adjustment, just lets you level up a couple of skills to match with what you are equivalent level of. You gain some racial feats, which is again something you can ignore. Not really a big deal. +4 natural armor bonus. You're not getting extra AC. Only Warforged gets that, and I don't even think they should. in 5.24e. AC is like a coveted commodity that you gotta protect and not let your players ever have. Then you get freeze, which is actually really cool. I think this one fits nicely. It's freeze. You can stand still and you look like a statue, and it's hard for people to spot you. That's neat. I like that. You get damage reduction 10 unless it's magic. That's what that slash means. So like unless you're getting hit with magic damage, you reduce the damage by 10, which is insane. Way too ridiculous. +4 strength, +4 dexterity, +8 constitution. That's like insane. Let's look at how it looks like in the new 5.24e version. Gargoyle. Creature type elemental, because that's what gargoyles are in 5.24e, and I'm pretty sure back then as well. Size medium. You can basically be whatever shape you want. You can be like the Hunchback of Notre Dame gargoyles at a nice 4 feet tall, or you can be like a big stony monster at 8 feet tall. You know, it really is a range. I'd even let you go like smaller or bigger, because you're just like a carved statue that was like magicked, surely, or elementaled into existence. I don't know. You're carved somehow. Your speed is 30 feet, and you have a fly speed of 20 feet. Now, we'll get to why it's 20 feet in a second. You have dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. So that's normal, standard. Proficiency of movement is your first trait that isn't dark vision. At 5th level, you gain 20 feet of fly speed for a total of 40 feet of fly speed. So that's how you get a little more fly speed. At 9th level, you gain 10 feet of movement speed and 20 feet of fly speed for a total movement of 40 feet and fly of 60 feet, which brings you in line to the modern normal gargoyle stat sheet, or how it was back then. So you are now as a gargoyle would be, with your 40 foot of movement and 60 feet of fly, and more if you have, you know, class levels somewhere. You gain statuesque as a trait. You gain proficiency in the stealth skill and have advantage on stealth checks in worked stone environments. So that's neat. You become like a little statue guy, and you're just like, ooh, can't see me. You also gain stone form, which means you are immune to petrification because you're already a stone, and you're resistant to poison damage because, you know, you're still a little ambulatory. Poison does have somewhere to move in there, so there's that, and that's what you get as a gargoyle. I think it's all right. If you guys have suggestions, this is the one I'm most shaky about having converted. Like, what would you add? What would you take away? Would you include something else in this gargoyle one? This one I could really use some input on from you guys. So let's go to the next one. What do you guys think of that? The Lumi, which might be the contender for my new favorite race that I had never heard of before researching it for this video. Now, the Lumi are medium-sized creatures. They have dark vision out to a range of 60 feet, and I'm going to tell you why that makes no sense. They emit light out of their bodies, and they live in the super bright positive energy realm. So why do they have dark vision? It makes no sense. They can innately cast light as well. They gain a few racial stuff based on their level adjustment, but that's not a big deal. They gain spell-like abilities. They can disrupt undead, cast light, cure light wounds, glitter dust. They also gain clear vision, which means they are immune to a few different effects. They have resistance to a lot of sun-based attacks. They also gain my favorite trait called floating head, which is its head floats a few inches above its shoulders, as you can see in the little image I got here, and you can rotate it like an owl, like completely around as many times as you want, which means back in the day, enemies would not get the +2 bonus to attack rolls for flanking it, because you could just turn around and be aware of them perfectly fine. However, flanking is an optional rule in D&D 5.24, so I'm not gonna have that as the dedicated result of this. Another thing that floating head did, which is really cool, is made you immune to the decapitation effect of a Vorpal sword, which is so specific and funny. So let's see how they look like in 5.24. Lumi, creature type humanoid, size medium, 5 to 7 feet tall, speed 30 feet. They are positively infused. You gain the light cantrip. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to cast Cure Wounds once per long rest. At 5th level, you gain the ability to cast Shining Smite once per long rest. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is a spellcasting ability for spells you cast with this trait. So that's pretty neat. You gain Clear Vision, you're immune to blindness, which is a fantastic, insane buff to have if you're a caster, because you can actually always be able to target with your best spells. Blindness is such a debilitating thing to caster classes. You gain Body of Light, you emit bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for additional 10 feet, and you're resistant to radiant damage. So you're like half a torch just by existing. You gain Floating Head, your head floats a few inches from your shoulders, granting you immunity to instant decapitation effects. And you cannot be strangled, because there's nothing to strangle, you got no neck. The floating head's my favorite part, but like that's because it's goofy. Positively infused is very handy. All of those spells I think are quite nice and good to have in any situation. Like Cure Wounds is just good, Shining Smite just does radiant damage, and Light Cantrip is handy if you don't have dark vision, which they don't because they emit light. Why would they have dark? It makes no sense sense why they have dark vision. So these guys, I really like them. They hate liars, they hate deception, and they hate illusion spells. So they like go out of their way to like get rid of them. That's like they're a bit of their lore. So that's the little tidbit I'll give to you guys. Let's move on to the next guy before I gush too much over these guys. You've heard of Ganassi? Well, let me tell you about Mephlings. So Mephlings are what happens when a Mephit has descendants eventually, and they become little dudes. But the Mephlings hate them. They don't like them, so they just throw them away. So this is what they got. They have a different flavor of benefits based on if you're an air, earth, fire, or water Mephling. Each Mephling has a breath weapon based on the type of Mephling it is, which is pretty neat. All Mephlings are better with the elemental damage type that their breath weapon is, which is kind of wacky, which is going to be really wacky because a lot of the breath weapons aren't elemental types, so it gets pretty silly, I'll say. And yeah, that's basically what they are about. Let's look at them at 5.24e version of them. Oh, look at this. It's the Mephlings. They are creature type humanoid. They're small because, you know, Mephits are small, so why wouldn't the Mephlings be small? They're only 2 to 3 feet tall, very little guys. Their speed is 30 feet, so they don't got that like 25 feet movement of a lot of the small creatures. They have elemental ancestry. You must choose between being a fire, air, earth, or water Mephling, gaining the benefits according to the table below. And you can see here, fire gains plus 5 feet of speed, and their damage type is fire for later. Air gains a 10-foot fly speed, just a little bit of a floating around, and the damage type is piercing, which is going to be for later. Earth gains 10 feet burrow speed, which is really neat. I like a burrow speed on a character, and their damage type is bludgeoning, that's for later. And water gains a 30 feet swim speed, which is the biggest speed, but it's swim, whoever is near water. And their damage type is acid, because acid's basically water. Then they get a breath weapon, which is very similar to the Dragonborn one. However, it has like a few differences in that it's worse. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw, DC 8 plus your constitution modifier and proficiency bonus. On a failed save, a creature takes 1d10 damage of the type determined by your elemental ancestry trait. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage. This damage increases by 1d10 when you reach certain character levels, being 5, 11, and 17. You can use your breath weapon a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So you do a little bleh as one of your attacks, which is pretty okay. It's decent. It does a bit of damage. I like how it's as one of your attacks instead of just as an action you can do it. But then the best trait that they gain is called Damage Attunement. When you roll damage that matches your elemental ancestry damage type, including with the breath weapon, you may reroll ones on the damage dice and keep the new result. Now, if you remember, the fire one is pretty reasonable. If you're a fire and if you're a fire Mephling and you're a wizard, that fireball rerolling the ones for the fire, that's pretty nice. That's 86. You're gonna get some ones there. But also, if you're an air Mephling and piercing is your damage thing, if you're like a ranger or a rogue and you got a bow and you just pop people with that, rerolling ones on the damage for your piercing arrows, like that's pretty neat. I think that's pretty cool. And I guess water can find some use for it with acid. You'll have to get back to me on that one in the comments. So yeah, I really like them. I think they're goofy. I like the elementalness of them and how they're pretty different from Ganassi, honestly. Let's go to the next guy. The Dromite. These are small little guys with a baseline speed of 20 feet, as you can see here in their Dromite racial traits. They have a chitinous exoskeleton based on their caste that they're born as. So they have 4 of them, and depending on which one they're born as, they have different resistances to energy, and their beam attack is different from each one. They are also naturally psionic, which means they gain 1 psi point, or 1 power point as it was called back then, that they don't really have a use for, which is kind of funny. They have a psi-like ability called the Energy Ray that they can shoot out, and it is the same type of damage that their cast gives them a resistance to, which will come back up later. They gain blind fighting because their antennas can like detect things, which is pretty neat. And yeah, those are like basically all the things you need to know how they were before. Let's go look at how they are now. The Dromite creature type humanoid, size small, 2 to 3.5 feet tall, speed is 25 because they are slow little boys. They had 20 feet before, so let's just power creep that up to 25. They gain Chitin Cast. You must choose between being born a Fire Cast, Ice Cast, Voice Cast, or Glimmer Cast. This determines the type of resistance your Chitin Shell provides for you, as well as the damage type of your Energy Ray trait. Now, don't worry about like social structure in these casts. These are horizontal casts, not vertical casts. So like they fill different roles in society, but they aren't defining what social hierarchy they are, which is different than most cast systems, really. So the fire cast gains fire resistance and damage type is fire. Oh, who would have guessed? The ice cast gains cold resistance and damage type cold. The voice cast gains thunder resistance and damage type thunder, and the glimmer cast gains lightning resistance and damage type lightning. They gain the energy ray trait, which is, as a bonus action, you may shoot out a ray of energy based on your cast out of your forehead, targeting one creature within 30 feet of you. Make a range attack against the creature's armor class. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 of your cast's damage type. This damage increases by 1d8 when you reach character levels 5, 11, and 17. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. You use your dexterity for the hit roll of this attack, but do not add the modifier to the damage. And I could be convinced if you really don't want to shoot the laser out of your forehead. I just think that's the coolest place for a laser to come out of, if just personal opinion. But you can probably convince your DM to be able to shoot out your finger or your mouth or your chest. You know, any of those are probably fine. You gain antenna detection. You have blind sight with a range of 10 feet. Very self-explanatory. It just means if you can't see, you can still detect things within 10 feet. That's what blind sight means. And you are naturally psionic. You gain one psi point that recovers every long rest. You may use the psi point, but not any other psi point, to use your energy ray trait by spending this psi point. If you gain other uses for psi points, you may use this one for those uses. So you gain one extra use of your energy ray per long rest than you would just for your proficiency bonus. So at first level, you gain 3 uses of your energy ray, which is pretty okay. It's just a d8 extra damage sometimes. That's like nice. That's just nice to have. It's fun. You know? And I like these little guys. They're just like fun-loving adventurer boys. They just want to go out and have a little explore sometimes. They don't have gender as well. Like, no, they do have gender, but most of them don't, which is really weird and wacky. So only the queen is female, which is like as part of a hive. And then they have like an elected council, which become or are male, all of them. And then everyone else, like the vast majority, don't have a gender either way, which is really wacky, I think. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Let's move on to the next guy. Magic Frog. The Vodyanoi, or the Vodyanoi? You guys can decide. They are a bunch of magic frogs. These are their racial traits. They have a land speed of 20 feet and a swim speed of 40 feet, and they're really good at swimming. Oh boy, who would have guessed that? They gain watercraft, which means they're really good at shaping water, and they can control it in lots of different ways. They gain a bonus to divination, illusion, conjuration, or enchantment spells. They can only pick one. They gain extra spell-like abilities, like the ability to speak with animals that are water-like. They innately learn spells as they gain levels, such as jump, long-strider, mending, which is a spell apparently, not a cantrip, and all kinds of wacky spell and water-related things. Let's look at how they are in 5.24e. Let's stop rambling this. You can see what they do and stuff like that. It's just, if you want to like keep diving into it, go ahead, dive in, because it's a frog. Vodyanoi, creature type, humanoid, size medium, 3 to 5 feet tall. They're not very big. They're not large boys. Speed is 25 feet because we power corrupt it from 20, because that's just how it goes in 5.24e. Swim speed of 40 feet, completely reasonable. They have the trait Water Attuned. You gain the Shape Water cantrip. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to cast Jump once per long rest, and at 5th level, you gain the ability to cast Control Water once per long rest. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for the spells you cast with this trait. Now, you might be thinking, Naruto D&D, are you on crack? Control Water is a 4th level spell. No race or whatever gains Control Water, or a 4th level spell, as their 5th level thing. This is the earliest anything can cast Control Water. And to that, I tell you, it's a frog. And Control Water is not that good of a spell. What can you possibly do with Control Water? It's like a mid 4th level spell at best. Fireball's better, shortly. Like, it's fine. It's funny. Let the 5th level character cast a 4th level spell. It's hilarious. Tell me how it could possibly go wrong. Anyway, they also gain innate magical understanding. You may choose any 1st level illusion, conjuration, divination, or enchantment spell once. So you pick it once, like when you make the character, and are able to cast it once per long rest. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for the spell you cast with this trait. So there's a lot of like fun choices in these. You can get Find Familiar. That's nice. And you get a little frog guy to like come with you. Just like not a little frog guy, just a little frog. You're the frog guy. And you also gain One of the Water. You may cast the Speak with Animals spell at will, however only being able to target beasts with an innate swim speed. So that's pretty neat. And you also gain Amphibious. You can breathe air and water. And even though that wasn't in the Vodyanoi racial traits, it's in their like character description, like their description of like how they are, and it says that they can breathe air and water in that. So that's why I included it here, because it felt a little weird that that wasn't part of the traits, and it was part of this, the flavor text. Pretty wacky. Anyway, that's it. That's the last one. The Magic Frog was the last guy. That's all I have for you today. I hope you liked them a lot. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate that you show me that by liking the video. If you really want to see more of these kinds of things, why don't you subscribe, and you can just be notified when I make the next one, because I'm going to keep making these, because I really like making these, and I'm hoping that you guys like them as well. The PDF for all of these funny guys with a bit of lore and like some pictures and stuff is in the description. It's pretty neat. Each one gets a whole 1 page, so that's a fair bit, surely. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Check out some of the other videos. That cantrip one is pretty neat. I like that one a lot. I like the magic weapons, the magic armor. They're all good videos. They're all good videos. And I just want to leave you with know your onions. Bye-bye.